I have several questions, or I'll try to get through them quickly, but how many like child psychiatrists or doctors have you talked to about the detrimental effects that's happening to children from drug usage?
Representative Stevenson.
Madam Chair, Representative Altendorf, I don't have a number for you, but the answer is more than zero. I have talked to experts, medical experts, including experts in child psychiatry and neural development.
Representative Altendorf.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you. So one of my good friends, Dr. Chris Thurstone, is from Colorado. He is a child and addiction psychiatrist. He's actually world known, so I would ask you to Google him and to look up his website. As we all know, in 2012, marijuana was legalized in the state of Colorado. So we do have 10 years of very sound data of what's happening in Colorado. I was fortunate to be invited to the Mayo Hospital. It was Dr. Thurstone was there to present to the doctors in Rochester in Mayo about the detrimental effects of marijuana. This was, I believe, in 2019, but I'm sorry if I'm wrong on that date. So I want to go back to pre-COVID because we've seen in the last few years drops in scores and things like that that we could say potentially is happening because of COVID. However, the data I was looking at was pre-COVID. Again, so this would have been 2012 to 2019. And in his presentation, there was a very steady decline in kids dropping out of school. There was a decline in grades. There was an increase in car accidents, increase in children not attending schools, increase in dropouts, okay? So there is a lot of data, and I'm afraid we're not looking at that data. As a state legislator, I would like to look at specifically, and I have another question, sorry, but you know, I'm just reading, this is a quote from Dr. Thurstone's website. And again, this is a psychiatrist that deals with addictions with children, who has held children in his arms and helping them because of the detrimental effects of what is happening to these children. So just quoting from Dr. Thurstone, children are our most precious resource. I believe everyone agrees that. We should shield them from harm. We should not expose them to harm. If we truly want more positive outcomes for our nation, we must develop public drug policies from a new starting point. What is in the best interest of our kids? And I do believe every person in this room would agree with that statement that Dr. Thurstone made. So if we are doing no harm to children, specifically on your bill, which, sorry, it's 300 pages. I don't have a fiscal note. So do we know, next question, do we know specifically the financial ramifications for our schools to deal with increased drug usage, we just heard from your testimony that's saying that we need to have peer support in the schools. So I'm sorry, without the fiscal note, what kind of impact are we going to have on the schools that the school is going to have this additional burden in the future? And I do appreciate what you're coming from, that you're saying that maybe, you know, there's different things that we have to look at. I do believe this is kind of like a shotgun approach, that by completely legalizing it, that we are asking for more problems. And I would go back to first quoting you, Representative Stevenson, you said we need to pass this bill because right now in Minnesota, we're doing more harm than good, okay? You said that. But then at the same time, what hypocrites we are that we are putting into this legislation that we are going to need increase all of this help for our children in the schools when this gets legalized, because we see the problems coming down the road. So from a standpoint of do no harm to our children, I do not support this bill, and I do not see how we as a state legislature should be putting so much energy into legalizing marijuana right now. Should not be a top priority in Minnesota.